So this is the easiest heated flooring system that you'll ever install, primarily because there isn't any fussing around with running wires, making sure that you have enough wire or not having too much wire. Building a custom mat with a system like Warmly Yours really makes it easy. You basically just use their little diagram that they have online to draw out your kitchen or bathroom, and then it'll do the deductions for you around the area. So one thing you want to make sure is that you don't put heated flooring under anything that's going to be permanently in place. So for instance, underneath the fridge or any of the cabinets, you want to leave it with no heated wiring under that area. So when you go ahead and do your drawing, make sure that that specifies that. But this will be one of the easiest systems to install because there isn't any fussing around with running the wire. The other thing is it's going to be the thinnest that you can possibly use. Now in this situation, I really didn't need to custom order this mat because my original idea was I was going to go right over to vinyl flooring and then tile over that. That didn't work out, so now I have the floor level, and so this is still going to make it really easy. It's just this mat was probably just a little pricey for what I'm really using it for. Since I'm floor leveling, I probably would have just went with a loose wire system. That would have been a little bit less expensive. And you know, since you're floor leveling over it anyways, it really isn't going to matter. But if you have a scenario where you're trying to keep the layer of your floor as thin as possible, this is the type of product you want to use. So really isn't anything more other than just laying it out and thin setting it into place. And then you can go ahead and tile. In this scenario, we're going to be ending up doing floor leveler tomorrow after we set this mat. You can see on my TAD here, I have 69.7 ohms. So that's what I'm looking for. But 68.6, that's within 10% of the 69.7. This is going to vary depending on temperature. So if you're within 10%, you're good. So we got 68.8. You want to write that down as your dry fitting setting. So 68.8. Super easy to install. It only took me about 10 minutes. And now we can go ahead and do another test and then start tiling. And in this case, we're going to floor level tomorrow. Okay, so for the primer for the self leveler, we're just going to do it on the plywood area. This is completely sufficient to be able to go over, but we're going to use Eco Prime for that. So you can see here how thin this really is. I mean, it's about 1/8 of an inch or so. So there's really going to be no issues with tiling. Even if I did with a smaller mosaic tile, this is going to be fairly easy to tile over. But when I put my laser up here and we basically indicate what's back here, so you got 4 inches in the back here. Yeah, 4 inches, 4 1/4, so it's a little bit lower in this corner. But when you go all the way up here, I'm 5 inches. And then where I'm really low is over here. So I'm almost 5 1/4 inches. So I'm about 1.25 inches out of level from there to here. And you can even see that with my level. Everything is, this is the high point lowering down. So I need to address that. 1 inch is way too much. But what I want to try to avoid is I don't want my slate tile being above this floor. I really want this to be nice and flush. I don't want this to be up. I don't want to have to put a transition where there's any type of trip hazard. I just want it to be nice and flush with this. So what I'm going to do is basically put a marker down here. Since I have a 1/2 inch, I'm going to account for 3/16 inch worth of thin set underneath of this tile. So this is about a good 1/4 inch or so of floor leveler. But when I put my, if I'm going right up to the top here, you can see here, I have just a little bit. This will give me enough so I can have my thin set layer under there. So that's about a 1/4 inch, 3/16. So that's enough for the thin set layer underneath of there. But what my goal is just to get this nice and flush. I don't want this to raise up. I just want to be nice and flush with it. Yeah, see, that's a 5. That needs to go up. And that's right there, 4 3/4. So that's what we're going to go up to. So that's probably my thickest amount right there. That's yeah, about 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, even here, it's not that bad. It just goes down a little bit, but it just kind of veers off into that corner. So it's not as bad as I thought it was. So I guess I don't need as much floor level. I got 4 bags here. I don't really need that much. I'm probably going to use 1.5 bags. If this was a bathroom, I'd floor level the entire thing. But again, I mean, this kitchen, I was really concerned about the transition coming into this large doorway. So that's why, so I guess it worked out. I guess we didn't waste our money on this flush mat because this makes it, you know, less volume over here, and it allows us to get a little bit more underlayment underneath of where the transition to the doorway is. So there's the indicator right there. So that's good. Yeah, leave it at that. Rather have not enough than too much. I could always build up a thin set when I'm doing the tile floor, but that should work.
Set up and wipe off the
I like the colors of it.
Yeah, no grout lines, right?
But we have, Dad has 3 cameras on him. The big one, Pocket 3, and movie.